welcome to this episode of Disrupt Education. I'm here with Carl Lee.
How you doing, buddy?
We're good, man. We're on the campus of Elmhurst College, which is poetic, I guess, right? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you, Carl.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been in business for quite a bit of time. My family runs and owns a restaurant in Schaumburg, and we've been there for 5.5 years, getting closer to 6 here. But now I'm moving in a direction of being a business owner, having a business education, helping other people get started on their businesses. And that's kind of what we do. My significant other and girlfriend and I, we started taking on clients and business developing for them and going from there.
What does that look like? What kind of clients do you have all across the board? Or?
First, it started with friends. Just circle of friends. They say, we would give a small suggestion here and there, and they enjoyed that. They thought it was good. And then we started reaching out, and I rebranded my social media and reset my own Instagram account. And then we started reaching out to people on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that to kind of see where we could help, where we could be the most. I think her and I share the same mentality. We want to do the most damage. And where is that possible? So that's kind of the bulk of it. Yeah.
Awesome. What does your educational background look like?
Sure. I went to college and I got a degree in architecture, which I ended up not working in, which is kind of the case, right? But really, where we started to earn our chops is as a kid. I've always been very, very. I bet you we could do this, and start to generate a little income out of that. And that's where, me being 33 now, that's kind of where we've gotten to all this time of learning hands-on and got us to this place. So
working in a family business as well, that's probably formed you. Tell me tell us how that formed your education kind of into growing a business, because you're in the restaurant business, and and we talked about this before, that is not an easy business to be in.
Family is hard. Family is hard but it's also, at the end of the day, you love each other, right? So you're able to say the things you want to say to kind of get the business moving forward, but it is also a family, so you have to treat it as such. But it's that defines, the boundaries that you can push, but communication is key, and that kind of keeps everything moving forward.
Right.
When you're in, I feel like when you're in something together, like that small knit group, everything solves itself. Everything powers itself through.
Is communication harder with family?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and us being, having the restaurant that we have, we speak 5 languages at the restaurant.
Wow.
So that we have a lot of people coming in, and obviously our patrons are speaking one language, and the staff has those communication hurdles, but communication is always key. And part of it is also trust. Like when there's hesitation between doing something, it's because of the lack of trust.
Right.
Once we solve that, then everything else kind of takes care of itself.
How did you go what made you want to be into architecture?
So architecture for me was always, I love buildings, like just walking around campus and stuff like that. I love the art of architecture. The idea that you can create a functional space where you can create a sort of a meeting. Even, the audience doesn't really get a chance to see, but a lot of times we create a statue and we try to circle people around it as an object of their conversation. But you'll notice that nobody's really looking at the object. Everybody else is having their own interpersonal conversations. So I wanted to solve that problem. How to kind of get people to work together by looking at each other. And when I adored that piece and said, okay, I like that, I started to look around and where's something like that more effective.
Right.
And in business, I think group-wise, project-wise, if you gear that, then absolutely.
Where did that idea come from? Was it just like one day you looked around and you saw a building that inspired you? Was it a person? Was it a combination?
It was just a notice of things.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like, we sit around a table. It's just having that going, oh, look at how people are interacting. I've always been one to observe and pick out the little details. So that was just very, very natural for me to kind of do that.
Right. And now that flows right into your business.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit in depth, like what can you offer within your business?
So for us, we want to do the most damage.
Right.
We want to help out as much as possible. So whatever that looks like, for a lot of people, it's getting to figure out what their passion is. Maybe they don't know what that is, and if they don't know what that is, how can we help them discover it? For me, and I think for a lot of people, the path has always been the same. That it starts when they're very, very young. We find out why they like what they like, and then they launch into this place of, I should start a business around that, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
From there, it's if it isn't figuring out what the passion is, then it's, I have this passion.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Here's all the different ways that you can grow it and then eventually monetize it. To stay in business.
Right.
So there's a two-part discussion of that, and we love to, between my significant other and I, we love to conversate about that. What is the best way? What are the interesting ways to make that happen? And I've always had a personal stance on it. And I think now all of the rules are broken.
Right.
In business, everything is broken. Before, when you were a music artist, you had to find an A&R, you had to go to a label, you had to sign to a label before they put out any content. Now the distribution's all on you.
Right.
You can completely distribute on your own. And it's just getting people to change their mindsets that what I had to do before kind of stopped me.
Right.
Now everything is on you.
Right.
If you don't succeed, it's your fault.
Right.
So
I think we're seeing that a lot. I mean, we actually met through an online group of
absolutely.
entrepreneurs and hopefuls and dreamers and creatives.
Right.
I look at this very similar as, the business is on you and now education has become on you.
Yes.
What does education, what does a new wave of education look like to you?
For me, it's exploring. Like, that's the biggest part, right? Like, I think explore, and then when you find something that sparks you, that's that moment where you can say, yes, I like that. Let me start to explore that a little bit more. How we feed it in terms of education is the other way around. Teachers have to ask, why do you like those things?
Right.
That's the hard part, is to get a kid to kind of be self-aware when everything else is coming at them and they're just taking information in. They have to take that moment to pause, step back, and say, okay, wait a minute. Why do I like these things? Starting with why, and going from there, and you start to discover, okay, how else can I do these things? Being more self-aware.
What can we fix in the educational system right now, do you think, to ask that question a little bit better? That's
hard, right? Like, because a lot of it is just parenting in general, right? But I would say from 1 to 10, it's give all the general ed and see what students like, and then from there ask why they like it. And not necessarily, if you ask a kid why, or they're going to say, oh, because I like it. You have to ask it the roundabout way.
Right.
What about this do you like? Is a different question. But start that process of being self-aware. Once somebody says, oh, I want to be an astronaut. Well, why do you, asking why do you like to be an astronaut is, I want to go to space. It's an easy question.
Yeah.
But what about it? What about being an astronaut do you like? Oh, I like to explore things. Right. Now we talk about, is it a travel profession? Is it, discovering a new material? Like there's those aspects that we need to start pulling apart so that the student is able to then come up to a place where now it is something I can double down on, something that I can have a business around.
Do you think we need to add or subtract or both curriculum right now to make that happen?
I think gen eds are gen eds, right? Like before I went to and get a UIC and got my college degree, I went to a public school. I went to Elgin Community College, and I studied everything across the board, from things like logic to classical Greeks. You have to have the explore, and that's what I took the time to do, is explore.
Yeah.
So I think those pieces of high school, you start to, if it's not junior high, senior, then it's freshman, sophomore that they need to start to explore, and then this move on to an idea of projects, because you'll find that once you get to college, everything is based on projects.
Right.
It's like, well, why wait till college to do that? Why not create the interaction when you have, you've already taken a kid, most elementary schools, from 200 to 500 to, a high school that may or may not have 2,000, 3,000. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So start to filter that around certain interests and maybe then we can guide them in a way that, create a project around that idea.
Right.
So I venture I prefer a more project-based curriculum. And it's senior and junior year, and then you have something to present to the college if that's the route that you want to go. You have this. Here's what I've been working on already.
Yeah.
How can I go that even further?
Excellent.
If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and I think that's the look is. I hear a lot of more people saying, Can I explore more before I get to putting big dollars down?
Right.
And I think that would help people focus more. Not to say that no one's ever going to pivot. I mean, you pivot from architecture to business owner and those types of things. Where can people find you and your business?
My business, the restaurant's in Schaumburg, so that's right by Harper College.
Yep.
And in terms of me online, it's just my Instagram. That's the easiest way to find me. My Facebook page. That's Instagram.com/Mr_Carl_Lee.
Awesome.
Feel free to inbox me their passion. If they don't know what their passion is, there's a lot of clients that are just, hey, I don't know how to get started.
Right.
Great. Let's deploy some self-awareness and look backwards.
Excellent. So, I think what you're doing in the business realm is very similar to what I'm doing on the education realm. I'm trying to figure out how ways we can get people more focused on their passion, then come to someone like you and work on that.
And we can execute on that.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, is just execution, right?
Absolutely.
Just failing forward.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Carl, I appreciate it. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for coming out. Guys, take a look at his stuff. We'll have that up down here. A true disruptor of business, disruptor of education. We'll see you next time.
Yep.